The other day when I was talking about electromagnetic waves traveling from one medium to the other medium, we have considered the refractive indices of one medium as N1 and the other medium as N2. I mean, the refractive indices were not same. So when the refractive indices of the medium were not same, we could see that a partial electromagnetic wave was reflected into the medium and a part of it was transmitted. So the refracted wave, we termed it as the transmitted wave. So now, in continuation of that, we will see how we can derive the values for E and H. The other day we did it for D and B. And after E and H, we'll see the reflection and transmission and Fresnel's refraction and transmission coefficients. Now look at this PPT. So this I named it as part 2 because the part 1 was the same, applications of electromagnetic waves, reflection and refraction. So this is continuation of that. So I named it like this. So look at this figure. The other day when we saw the figure looked like a cylinder. But here you can see it's like a box. The surface is like a box. But there are similarities between the last figure and this figure. That is, we have medium 1 and medium 2, the same thing as we took last time. And then at the interface, we tried to construct a surface with the names A, B, C, and D. So this is the interface, the line, the dark line, straight line is the interface. And this ABCD surface has a height H and length L. So you can see E1 is in this direction and then E2, the resultant E2 is in this direction. And then if this box is compressed as we did earlier, so the value of H will be going towards 0 and then you don't find any height here and then all the values will change. Hence we will try to find out E and H for this kind of surface. So what we are using here is the Maxwell's third equation. For deriving the values of D and B, we used Maxwell's first equation and second equation. So now we are going with the third equation, which is curl E or del cross E is equal to minus dou B by dou T. And then we integrate it over the surface. Which surface? The surface which we saw in the figure. So that surface, this surface A, B, C, D. So this is named as S. So we will integrate this equation with respect to the surface S. And then what happens? This is the value. We are getting it as minus S dou B by dou T and ds. We can apply Stokes' theorem here because the surface integral has to be changed into line integral. And you can see the line integral as E1 dot dl over the line AB, and over the line CD it is E2 dot dl, and over the lines BC and DA it is E dot dl is equal to integration dou B by dou T n dot ds. And now the same thing will apply here as we did in the last session. We'll shrink the size of this box, or we'll make this H to 0. I mean, the size, it was like this, and then we start compressing, and then almost the height is going to 0, it's vanishing. Then what's happening? The sides will vanish, and you have only the upper and the lower lines. So the contribution from the sides BC and DA will vanish, and then you are only left with BC. This is going to 0, and then you are left with AB and CD. So this is equal to 0. Here, I've changed the terms like this. Integration a to b dl, I took it as L, and e to cd dl, I took it as minus L because of the directions. So it's going from AB like this, and then BC, CD like this. Then here, what you can see is I took a term T. This is the tangential component, not the longitudinal component. So this equation is much valid only for the tangential component of the electric field, not the longitudinal component. Hence, to represent that, we took it as E1T tangential L minus E2T L is equal to 0. That is, E2T is equal to E1T. So what is this? In the last session, we saw if D1 was equal to D2 or D1 minus D2 is equal to 0, we called it as continuous. But if D1 minus D2 was not 0, if it was some value like sigma, then we said it was not continuous, but it has a difference with sigma. But here you can see E2T is equal to E1T. This represents E is continuous in the second medium to first medium. See, E1T and E2T are tangential components of the electric field in the two media, and then this equation represents that the tangential components of E must be continuous across the interface. So the only golden rule is, if you get in first medium and second medium, if you get the same values, then you say that value is continuous. And if you don't get the same value, then it is not continuous. Example, if I say D1 minus D2 is equal to sigma, it is not continuous. Why? Because if D1 is equal to D2, then you don't get sigma, you get 0. So because D1 is not equal to D2, you are getting a value sigma. So hence we say it is not continuous. Then we have boundary condition for electric intensity vector B. So what is the Maxwell's fourth equation? So see how we derived. We started with Maxwell's first equation for D, second equation for B, third equation for E, and then we have the last Maxwell's fourth equation for H. So we are going in that sequence. This is the reason why Maxwell's equations are very important and prominent while learning electromagnetic theory. Now, see this. So this is the fourth equation, which we already know. What we'll do is we'll take the surface integral over this equation. Which surface? The same surface which we saw in the first slide. Integration is curl H is equal to this. Now, because this is again from surface integral to line integral, we'll take Stokes theorem, and this, according to that Stokes theorem, so I'm applying it over the entire surface ABCD. This I can change it as the line AB, line CD, and then line BC and DA. So as we did earlier, the same thing. So what are we getting here? In the limit H tends to 0, or the height is becoming 0, so you are just compressing the surface, the contribution of this line integral BC and DA vanishes. Hence, under this limit, you can see this is approaching 0, and dou D by dou T, ds is also approaching 0. This implies dou D by dou T is bounded everywhere, and hence what's happening to J, limit as H tends to 0, integration over surface integral, and then J dot ds is equal to Js perpendicular L. So this perpendicular represents the perpendicular direction of the component. Limit under H tends to 0. So this is valid only when this height of the volume which we are taking, it is compressing to 0, then only this is valid. And then we say this represents the component of current density perpendicular to the direction of H component. And then what happens to that equation AB and CD? Because the other integral is vanishing as we are taking only the perpendicular component, and then we compress the height. So the contribution from the sides of the box is vanishing, and then you have only the upper line and the lower line. So what does this upper line give you? H dot dl with respect to AB and H dot dl with respect to CD, and then you got this. Or I separate it, I got like this, the same thing. As I told you, the direction is different. For AB and CD are in opposite directions. So the line I took it as L and the length I took it as minus L here. And this is 1T, then 2T. So 1 represents medium 1, 2 represents medium 2 is equal to the perpendicular component. So hence what we got, the tangential component of magnetic field is not continuous at the interface or the surface. The surface current density is 0 unless the conductivity is infinite. Hence, for finite conductivity, Js is equal to 0. So, this is equal to 0. What does it imply? The same equation, see, H1 is equal to H2. This is what I told you earlier. So, if you have the component same in both the medias 1 and 2, then we call this component as a continuous component. Here, but the condition is the current density is 0 unless the conductivity is infinite. I mean, if you have a finite conductivity, very limited conductivity, then this Js value is going to 0. So this H is continuous only when the conductivity is finite. It has a fixed value. When this conductivity is infinite, then you can see this value H1 minus H2 is equal to Js perpendicular L. It implies this is not continuous. This is discontinuous. It is varying with the value of conductivity. So we finished the derivation part for E and H as well. So we did all D, B, E and H. So we approached in the same way. For D and B, we took a cylinder and then we took the surface integral, then compressed it. H tends to 0. And here we took a rectangular box. And then for E and H, we had a similar strategy, the same strategy. And remember, that's the golden rule. You will use Maxwell's first equation, second, third, and fourth in a row. So remember how you are taking like D, B, E, H. So that's the sequence. And then accordingly, you have Maxwell's 1, 2, 3, 4 equations. So now we'll go with the next topic in this unit, reflection and refraction of plane electromagnetic waves at plane interface between two dielectrics. So this is the topic which is mentioned in your syllabus. And in that, we are going to see laws of reflection and refraction. So see the terms reflection and refraction. So the other day, I explained that very clearly to you, showing a mirror. So reflection is, so if this is the mirror, so you can see the reflection. So see, some light is falling on the mirror and then that light is reflected to you onto the camera. So that is reflection. And if the light is able to pass through this, then you call it as refraction. Or in our EM theory, we are using the term as transmission. Now, so there are few kinematic properties for this electromagnetic wave. So what are those kinematic properties? We have law of reflection, and then we have Snell's law of refraction, and then we have law of frequency. So these are the three laws. Law of reflection says that theta r prime is equal to theta I. So what is theta r prime? This is angle of reflection. So angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. And then Snell's law says that theta I by theta r, angle of incidence, is equal to angle of incidence by angle of refraction is equal to n2 by n1, whereas where n2 and n1 are the refractive indices of the two media which we are taking. What are the two media? For example, if light is passing from air medium to the glass medium, it is trying to bend. So n1 will be the refractive index of air medium, and then n2 will be the refractive index of the glass medium. Then we have the third law, which is easy to understand and also which has to be remembered, law of frequency. This law states that the incident, the reflected, and the refracted, all three waves have the same frequency. So if omega is the frequency of the incident wave, then the reflected and the refracted waves, all three waves will have the same frequency, omega. There is no change in the frequency. So to explain that, this is the best diagram you can see here. This is medium 1 with wave vector k1, and then this is medium 2 with wave vector k2, and this is the reflected wave. So instead of taking k1, we took it as k3 just to represent this is the reflected wave. And here mu is refractive index, or permeability, and then epsilon is the permittivity. So we have permeability and permittivity of the two media here. They are different. So when light is passing from this medium at the interface, you can see a part of this light is being reflected into the medium, and then a part of it is being refracted. So this is our basic reference figure which we are going to use to derive the rest of this. So this is just a schematic showing reflection and refraction of electromagnetic waves at the interface. Okay, so now this is the general notation, like how the field vectors can be represented by, see, if E is equal to E naught 1. What is E naught? I told you this is the maximum electric field intensity. So when I say 1, it is for the first wave. What is first one? In the first medium. So you have the maximum electric field. So the wave can be represented, the electric field in medium 1 can be represented as like this, where this omega represents the frequency of the incident wave, and k1 is also for the incident wave. And as you know, b1 is equal to k1 cross e1 by omega. Why k1 cross e1 by omega? Because this b should be perpendicular to both electric field and also the direction of propagation. That is the rule. And then we have checked this in the beginning also, how we got this k1 cross e1 by omega 1. So the same thing, in place of b, if I put h, it becomes k1 cross e by mu 1 and omega 1. And for the same reflected wave, so instead of writing er, I am writing it as e1 prime. So put everything, change everything to prime, it becomes like this. And then for the refracted wave, because it is in the second medium, I don't put it as 1, I'm changing the number as 2. So this is E2, and E02 represents the maximum value of E, maximum value of the electric vector E in that medium. And then we have this B2 value. So B1, B1 prime, B2. So everything is same. Just the components are changing with respect to the medium and also with reference to what kind of wave we have. Is it incident, reflected, or refracted? So the same thing. So we will apply boundary conditions to this. What are the boundary conditions? We will take the tangential component of E, and then we'll see that E is continuous at the interface, and then we have the other components also, B and H. So we apply all the boundary conditions which we have, and then we get omega 1 prime and omega 2, which are all equal. That is, the frequencies are same. Also, what we are getting? Sin theta I by sin theta R, if I am going to calculate, I can take it as K2 by K1, which is equal to this much. Or I can take like this. Why? Because the frequencies are same. All three frequencies are same. So omega 2 and omega 1 are same. So I'm left with mu 2 epsilon 2 by mu 1 epsilon 1. Hence, I'm getting sin theta by I by R is equal to N2 by N1, as N is equal to under root mu E. So this is the relationship between permittivity, permeability, and the refractive index. So from that, we are getting this equation. And then there is one important topic called as Fresnel's equations. So now we will not see the entire derivation, but I'll show you the final equations. So the derivation part I'll send you through WhatsApp or email, which you can study, and then you can check how the equations are going, because we already know what's happening there. So look at the figures. This figure is very prominent here. This, if this is the direction of propagation, then this is the direction of B or H. And then here, this is the direction of propagation. Then you have the directions of B2 or H2 like this. And these are B1 prime or H1 prime. So in the first medium, we have number 1, either prime or the simple one. And in the second medium, we have B2, H2. So this is the same figure as we saw there. But here we are representing the magnetic field as well, just not the electric field. So we'll consider this, and this is depicting the reflection and refraction with polarization perpendicular to plane of incidence. Here you can see the equations. The first equation is, you can see this is E01. This represents the maximum value for the incident wave. And this ratio is, this is the perpendicular component for the reflected wave. So the reflected wave in comparison with the incident wave is equal to like this in terms of cos theta I or the refractive index. And then I can also take it as like this in terms of sin theta I and sin theta R without any refractive index here. So this is the comparison of the reflected wave with respect to the incident wave. This is also the tangential component or the perpendicular component, because we are considering the polarization there and we are saying the perpendicular components. And here you can see this is for the second medium, the electric field intensity for the second medium, maximum electric field intensity for the second medium in comparison with the incident wave. Here also same, E2 in comparison with the incident wave. So I take the, I compare the reflected wave and the refracted wave with respect to the incident wave. So if I compare the perpendicular components, so I'm getting different expressions with respect to the refractive index and without refractive index. So these two relate to the reflected wave, and these two relate the refracted wave. And these four equations, I call it as Fresnel's equations.